Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and in this one I'm going to be going over the top 12 destroyers in the game, both weapons and troops. So what are destroyers? Well, destroyers are troops or weapons that destroy gems on the board, whether random or chosen, and by destroying a gem it's as if it matched it. So let's start with number 12 with Behemoth, and Behemoth primarily does damage to all enemies, 22 damage to all enemies, but then it destroys 12 random gems, and it has a relatively low mana cost for a legendary at 14. It is a monster troop, so it cannot start at half mana, but that 14 mana cost will be added to when it destroys those gems. There's a good chance that it will those 12 random gems that it destroys will be some blue and some brown, and it will fill itself back up. And it does have some good traits of immune to all status effects, devour, mana burn, and it gains 10 life on 4 and 5 matches. So this takes the number 12 spot with destroying 12 random gems. Now, in spot number 11, we have the weapon Bronzelock Pistol. Now, it does 22 damage to an enemy, but then it destroys 5 random gems boosted by gold collected, and the boost ratio is 4-1. So a fourth of all your gold is going to be gems destroyed. Now, I believe that means that every fourth, for every 4 gold you have, 1 gem is destroyed. I believe that's what that is. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section. But anyway, here the reason why this one is in the number 11 spot is because it only destroys 5 random gems. And it only gets really good for destroying gems when you have other troops in your team that boost your gold. Once you have like 200 gold, then it's going to be destroying almost the entire board every single time you cast it, which means it will fill itself back up. Now, the good thing too about it is that it only has a 12 mana cost of blue and brown. Now, with that, you do have certain heroes that can start with 50% mana, which means that it will cut that in half at 6 starting mana. So you could probably fill it up with 1 blue or brown match if you have a banner that has double brown or double blue, and then you get a mana surge. So that is also a really good destroyer weapon, but it makes the 11 spot simply because in order to make it really good, you need other troops to boost its gold. Now, in the number 10 spot, we have the Egg Thief, which is really good for destroying gems, but it destroys 11 random gems, and similar to Bronzelock Pistol, it is boosted by your gold. Now, it does have a thing where it gains 10 gold every time it is cast, so every time that you cast it, it will destroy more gems the next time. Now, it does have a 12 mana cost of red and green, and it is considered a human troop, so if you did want it to start with 50% mana, you could include the legendary card Saint Astra in your team. Now, its traits are actually pretty decent for surviving because it has stealthy, which it means it cannot be targeted by spells if there are other targets available, and it has a 20% chance to dodge skull damage. Now, this makes the number 10 spot simply because you do need other troops that increase your overall total gold in order for this troop to really become good with destroying gems. Now, in the number 9 spot, we do have Angry Mob. And the Angry Mob destroys 19 random gems, and it summons an Angry Mob, or it deals 19 damage to the first enemy. It is not too great simply because it has a high mana cost of 13 red and brown. And for 19 random gems, there are better troops with a lower mana cost that will destroy gems of a chosen color. So this makes number 9 spot. Now, it is a human, so you can make it start with half that mana, with about 6 mana, if you do include the legendary card Saint Astra along with it. Its traits aren't too amazing. There is one trait that allows it to gain immunity to silence, which means that it can never be silenced. You'll always be able to cast it. So that is the number 9 spot. Now let's go on to the number 8 one. And at spot number 8 is Marilith, the Demon Naga troop. Now, this one is actually pretty good. It has a 12 mana cost of red and green. Now, in its traits, though, it does have a Firelink trait, which gains bonus to red mana from red gem matches. So if you do pick a banner that is double red, and you have Marilith in your team, and you have this trait, you'll be gaining 3 extra red mana every time that you connect red gems. So you will see that this will fill up very quickly. And it deals 6 true damage to all enemies, and then it destroys 22 random gems. And that's actually pretty good. So Marilith is in spot number 8. And in spot number 7, we have Emperor Liang. Now, this is a legendary card, so it's a little bit higher mana cost. It has 16 mana cost of purple and yellow. Now, that can be cut in half because they released a new legendary elf card that allows all elves to start with 50% mana, but you would have to include that in a team with this one. What does it do? It destroys all gems of a chosen color instead of random gems. You can choose a color and it will destroy all of that color. And it also gives all allies of the matching color 22 life and 4 magic. So let's say if you have a team that's all yellow and you destroy all the yellow gems with this card, it'll give every single ally in your team 22 life and 4 magic. So that's actually pretty good for survivability. Now, its traits are actually pretty decent too. It has an immunity to Mana Drain, Silence, Fairy Fire, and Mana Burn. Also, in its final trait, it has an enchant a random ally on 4 or 5 gem matches. So that's going to be a really good support card because you'll be able to gain mana for your team, and you'll be able to gain life. It'll increase their magic, and it will also enchant them. So Emperor Liang is number 7. Now let's go on to number 6 spot, which is Bogstrider. Now, the Bogstrider has a pretty low mana cost of 8 green. And so that's pretty good. It's pretty low cost. It destroys 18 gems which is just random gems, and it entangles a random enemy. It does have a few good traits for being in the top spot. It inflicts entangle when doing skull damage, and it reduces damage from skulls by 33%. Now, the Bogstrider, again, just destroys random gems, so that's why it's in spot number 6, but it has that low mana cost of 8, and it is an elemental monster, so there's currently no way for you to gain half mana, starting mana with it, but it's a low cost, so that's really not too necessary. Now, in spot number 5 is the Clockwork Sphinx, which is a really excellent destroyer because it destroys all gems of a chosen color, and then it gives all allies 20 armor boosted by gems destroyed. So that's really good because you can choose the color that you want to destroy, all gems of that color destroyed, and then it boosts the armor of all your allies. Now, it has a 12 mana cost, which isn't too bad. It's brown-purple, and it's a mech troop, which means that there is a mech hero class, and it allows all mechs to start with 50% mana. So if you include Clockwork Sphinx in your team with your mech hero, the Clockwork Sphinx will start with 6 mana, and you will only need 6 in order to cast it the first time. Its traits aren't really that great. It only really has a reduction to damage from skulls by 25%, and that's about it. So Clockwork Sphinx comes in at spot number 5. Now let's go to the top 4. Coming in at 4th spot is the Dwarven Miner. Now, the Dwarven Miner is really good because it only requires 8 brown mana in order for it to get started, in order to cast it. Now, it destroys 17 gems of a chosen color, and then there's a 40% chance to gain 100 gold. Now, the 17 gems it's not random, so it's chosen, which makes it even better. But also, its traits has really good things here. It has Stone Link, which is gain bonus brown mana from brown gem matches. And with only needing 8 mana, that is fantastic. You could choose a double brown banner, and you could have the Dwarven Miner in your team, And with the Stone Link, you would be getting it full almost every brown gem match that you do. And its final trait's really good as well because it has immunity to all status effects, Devour, and Mana Burn. Now, the other thing that's amazing about the Dwarven Miner as well is that it is a dwarf troop. And if you have King Highforge, which is a dwarf troop that allows all the other dwarves to start at 50% mana, you can allow Dwarven Miner to start at only 4 brown mana, which means that all you need is 1 brown gem match with Stone Link here activated, and it will be full immediately. So Dwarven Miner takes the number 5th spot. Now, in the number 3rd spot is the Thrall. Now, the Thrall is amazing because it destroys 22 random gems. It is a human. It only needs 6 mana, purple mana, to get started. And since it's a human, if you include it in a team with the legendary card Saint Astra, all humans will start with 50% mana, so this Thrall card will start with only 3. And in its traits, it has Magic Link, which is gain bonus purple from purple gem matches. So if you do a double purple banner and you have it traded, it'll get full even without a starting 50% mana with pretty much every purple match that you do. And it destroys 22 random gems, but it does take 2 damage to itself, and it can die from that damage if you cast it enough. But generally, you have enough life and health there to survive an entire match. So Thrall is number 3. Now, for the number 2 spot, we have Tyri. Now, Tyri is really good. It takes the number 2 spot because it has a low mana cost of 8 purple and green. It destroys 26 gems of a chosen color. It gains 5 gold, and then it has a 20% chance to gain a treasure map. Now, its traits are actually pretty good too as far as surviving. It has stealthy, which means it can't be targeted by spells unless there are no other targets. It has immunity to mana drain, silence, fairy fire, and entangle. Now, the thing that is great about Tyri as well is that besides its low mana cost of 8, it is an elf, which they released a new elf legendary card, which allows all elves to start with 50% mana. So if you include that in this team, it can start with only needing 4 mana to start with. But even without that, at a low mana cost of 8, and you have 2 different colors to choose from, purple or green, to fill it up, it will destroy 26 gems of any chosen color on the board, even its own. Now, the number 1 destroyer in the game, in my opinion, is Anu's Sceptre. Now, this is a weapon, so you will have to include your hero and use a hero class with it, but that's also one of the things that makes it great. Now, what does Anu's Sceptre do? It destroys all gems of a chosen color. Now, it has a low mana cost of only 9 blue, but with a hero class that starts with 50% mana, it will start at 4 mana, and you will only need 5 blue mana in order for it to get up in order to cast it. Now, what's the other great thing about it? Well, if you go into the upgrade weapon and you look at what it has to offer here, it cleanses itself, which means that if it gets death marked, if it gets entangled, if it gets any of those negative status effects, it'll cleanse itself when it's cast. Also, it gives 1 mana to all allies every time it's cast. And finally, what's really great about it is that it enchants itself. So every time you cast it, it'll enchant itself. And enchant means that it will gain 2 mana every single turn until it's full. And then you can cast it again. Now, the great thing about it is that it uses your hero class, so all of the bonuses and talents and traits that your hero class benefits from, the Anu's Sceptre will also benefit from that. Also, Anu's Sceptre is available simply by leveling your character in the game for free. You don't have to pay money for it. You don't have to wait for a special event to acquire this weapon. It is obtainable very easily by simply leveling your character in the game. Now, the only downside to Anu's Sceptre is that it will not destroy blue gems. It can't destroy its own color. Unlike Tyri and Dwarven Miner and some of these other troops who can destroy their own color, Anu's Sceptre cannot destroy its own color. Other than that, Anu's Sceptre is the best destroyer in the game, in my opinion. And so that is the top 12 list of destroyers. If there are other destroyers that are your favorites, or that you think that some of these destroyers should be in a different order, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you and your opinions. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and later.